Hi, everyone. We're here this morning with Behind the Scenes with your team staff. And so somehow it's November and the holidays are coming. So we thought we would chat amongst ourselves about what we're doing for the holidays, any of them, all of them, one of them, whatever. So I will start by telling you what I'm doing for Thanksgiving. I traditionally am very much a traditionalist. And so I've always wanted the holidays to be on that day. Like if it was Christmas or New Year, whatever, it had to be on that day. And that kind of went away when my oldest daughter was in college. And for the first time ever, I couldn't celebrate her birthday exactly at 107 when she was born. And I figured at that point I had to give up control. So since then, I have learned to realize that spending time with your family, plus or minus a week of a holiday, is a bonus in itself, especially because I've said I'm an empty nester. And so getting to see my girls is such a bonus to me, and I don't care what it is. So this year for Thanksgiving, my daughter, who I think I've said on this before, is just recently married, and she called and said, I'm a newlywed, and we're kind of thinking about new traditions. And she said, "And what do you think about me and my husband hosting a Thanksgiving at our place?" I could not say fast enough. Of course, of course, of course, of course, because off my plate. So this year and because she and her husband are both pilots, they celebrate whenever. So we're actually going to have Thanksgiving at her house. And it's going to be a brunch. So it's going to be Thanksgiving based foods, but not necessarily a Thanksgiving. And it's going to be before Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we are like many people out here who are probably listening, we're kind of that sandwich generation. And so our parents are getting older. So after we spend it with our girls, we're then driving to see our parents, which is crazy, crazy. I can't believe we're doing that again. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. And
I love Eka. I think it's so sweet that they want to host it. That's really it's kind of like a victory. You did a good job. It's so
yeah,
nice.
I think my first question was red or white or both. So anyway, that's what I got going on.
Wait, can I ask 107 a.m. or p.m. for your daughter's birthday?
PM.
Got it. Making sure.
Anybody got anything else to share? We're done.
Well, we're done. No.
Bye, everybody.
I actually have a new tradition, one I haven't celebrated this year at Thanksgiving. And like Eka, my boys are older and they're spread out across the country, and they're all meeting in Chicago for a football thing. And then they're all driving here. And at first I was like, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, I was like, oh, how great is that? And they're all going to be together and drive up here together. And then I realized, oh crap, they're all going to be in the same car on a highway. And of course, this is last night I'm hearing this at like 10 o'clock. And so my tradition was laying awake and thinking, oh my God, what if they're in an accident, all three of them together? But I can't say to them, don't. They'll think I'm a total wacko if I say I want you to drive separately or get a car. So I just realized last night that's my new tradition.
Oh my God, Mindy, I hope it's short-lived, because I have also thought those things. And
good.
What a terrible tunnel to go. Like, you go down this rabbit hole. It's horrible.
Right? Isn't it? Oh my God. Thank you. I'm just glad I'm not the only one. Misery loves company. So thank you. So
I know, but it's I feel like, oh my God, bad thoughts.
Right. And you're up here like, oh, great. And they're coming on Sunday. They'll work remote. No significant others. And then boom, so anyway. But besides that, our tradition is food, and football.
So I have a new tradition, which is all about me. And my new tradition is that I start a Google spreadsheet with the food and the things I want to do when they're home. And it's really helpful because everyone gets to vote. Everyone gets to put opinions in there. And the one thing that is so consistently true with my family is they don't like change. So if let's say I were to suggest a non-turkey Thanksgiving, I mean, there'd be a revolt, even if they don't like turkey. So we did talk for a moment about maybe meeting up somewhere and, like all being together somewhere else. And my kids were like, but we like Cleveland for Thanksgiving, not for living and not for all the time, but for Thanksgiving, we need, isn't that what we always do? So changing traditions are really hard in this space, but the Google spreadsheet, not only does it work like in terms of consensus and people coming home with a little understanding, like no one says what's for dinner, which is fantastic because they know. But the other piece about it is when I go to Google to start a new one, I realize I have last year's. And it's like so much easier. It's unbelievable. Anyway, highly, highly recommend it.
So I think is really funny is that we don't realize how important traditions are to our kids until we try to change it.
Yeah.
Because I remember last year we've been having the same breakfast at Christmas. And last year I tried to change it up with this really cool recipe that I found where you like take a baguette and you take the middle out and then you put in like eggs and cheese and, basically it was like a strata that I always make for Christmas, except it's in a baguette. You would have thought I said, Santa's not coming because it was revolt in my house. And so we had to have the same Christmas strata. But if they want to change it, it's okay, I think.
Yeah.
But you can't change it because they attach, I think, certain memories to certain traditions. But if they want to change it, they're okay. So
yeah, like I have a kid going to the Ohio State game on Friday. I'm like, oh no, you're leaving and going. But Kamira and Francisca and Melissa, take yourself off mute and jump in.
So we have our youngest is first year college student. And whenever something changes now that he's not in the house or even in the area, he side eyes us like on FaceTime or something. So I'm assuming that all of our holiday season is going to be family traditions. The first one was me soliciting opinions from them. I am not as smart as Sue, so I didn't do a Google Doc, but I may do that because in true family tradition, I have not received one response. So I'm assuming we're going to do everything the same. I just need their buy-in. That's usually how I start. And our biggest family holiday tradition for all of the holidays from here through January is that we're very, very flexible. So that if somebody needs to change something or whatever, we try to be flexible with the time and stuff. We don't, and there's always room for one more. There is always room for one more, and we always have a surprise one or two. So those are our two big traditions, but there are some I'm assuming that I'm going to have to be making for the next few weeks.
We always travel for Thanksgiving. That was like for two reasons. I think it started. For one, I didn't grow up in the US, so I really have no attachment to Thanksgiving. I bring no traditions on my own. So for me, it's a really easy holiday to go to someone else's house and to just go with the flow because, I'm like, well, I don't have expectations regarding anything. While on Christmas or New Year's or so, I have certain things that I like to be part of it. But Thanksgiving is like this, whatever you guys want, And then the other thing is because we live in a very snowy place, we always said we would stay Christmas put just because, the risk of being snowed in is just too high. Like either we cannot leave or we don't get back in time. And then it's like everything can change last minute, which is kind of not a fun thing to do when it comes to the holidays. You want to have a little planning and not sit there a day before saying, yeah, I guess we're not driving. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Francisca, I love that you have no expectations. Those are the types of people we want, right? No expectations, whatever I'm going to share that with my family. No expectations. Things will go much easier.
That's true.
So in my house growing up, my mom always hosted huge Thanksgiving parties, like 30 people or more would be there. And then she got to a point where she couldn't do it anymore. And I just wasn't going to take that on. So the rest of my family really misses it. But I live in a house where everyone has a different diet. And it's just impossible to please everyone at the same time. So my tradition is letting someone else cook. And I will bring something, or if it's just going to be us and them, then I will offer to pay for everything. And they can, pay, essentially compensate them for their labor. But my other tradition, if it is going to be at my house, I remember my mom like day drinking during Thanksgiving, and it was so unusual for her. And I was like, what is going on? But man, I tell you, when you have Thanksgiving in your own house, that wine comes out early. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I don't know if y'all know, but Hanukkah is during Christmas this year. So it's a Christmas season again, which is very nice.
Mhm.
And my birthday is actually in that stretch too. My birthday's Christmas Eve. So
So we'll expect not to see you, Melissa, for that entire week, right? Too much celebrating, too much partying. Go for it.
yeah.
Okay, Melissa, I want to say that the drinking on Thanksgiving is because it's so overwhelming and the only way you can get through it. And, Mindy, the article I wrote probably should come up again.
Yes, for sure.
Like running away from my family.
Yeah. Actually, send me that link. Let's put that up there as well. That I think you did a couple of those articles about running away from your family. No?
What?
I said, I think you did a couple of those articles about running away.
I know. Well, this one was such a failed attempt because I didn't realize that every single thing is closed on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like every single thing. And so I just figured I'd go somewhere and have a cup of coffee or something. And then there was literally nowhere to go. And how far can you drive? I felt too embarrassed to call a friend and say, can I, crash your family delight because I hate my family right now. I didn't want that out there. So I just drove until I thought this is stupid. And I came home pissed. And they didn't even humor me with oh, mom's back. They were like, is she still crazy?
Well, I don't want, Mindy, we have a friend who's run away from her family with her Kindle.
Yes, I think I was just going to say, I think a number of us have at some point run away. Remember, my story is at night at I don't know, dinner time, and it was pitch black, and I got to the end of my driveway and realized I'm afraid of the dark. So I just had to pace in front of my family because I didn't take the keys when I ran away from my family. So yeah, I think we all have that.
Wait, I like your story. Your story is that you ran away until you got scared.
Yeah, I ran away. I was so mad. I slammed the door and forgot that I didn't have my car key. So I figured, I'm just going to walk. And then I realized, oh no, it's dark out here. I'm afraid.
It's like the 6-year-olds with the little backpacks are going to run away from home until they get to the driveway.
That was me.
It even felt that way when I was doing it. It was such a tantrum.
Yes.
I mean, I believe I was justified in my tantrum, but I could have handled it more like a grown-up than a 2-year-old. But
Me too.
Ever since that story that our friend told us about running away with her Kindle, when I get really annoyed, the first thing I do is I look for my Kindle, because if I'm leaving, I'm taking that bad boy with me.
Yeah.
Because you can sit in any parking lot and read a book.
Yeah, and this friend, that's what it was. It was a Sunday, a rainy Sunday in November, and I was driving past the library. There was one car, and I'm like, wait a minute. I know. And there she was, just running away from her family. It's the only one. She said, I'm just so pissed at my family. So yeah. Maybe that's the topic.
What's up? Anybody else here run away from their family? And
come on. Yes.
Okay, Francisco, we can't wait to hear one day you telling us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, not yet.
Melissa,
Francisco's the good mom.
Melissa?
I'm sorry, what?
Were you effective at run? Did you have success? Because mine was a failure.
At running away?
Yeah.
I mean, I only ran as far away as the laundry room, and people tend not to go there. So I would say it was a success. Not the best environment, but it served its purpose. You cannot run away to the bathroom anymore. Like that. People are banging on the door. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myra, what's your runaway?
My first runaway experience, my husband travels a lot, and he traveled much more years ago, was when I was home with an infant. And he called me to check in the morning and told me that he was going to a champagne brunch, and there was silence on the other end. He was in DC and we were in New York. And within a couple of hours, he was home because he realized that that was a really stupid thing to tell me. He walked in the door and he didn't even he was still in the foyer. And I shoved the baby in his arms, put on a coat, left. And then I got to a restaurant and I called my girlfriend and I was like, I have on 14 different colors for clothes, but I just couldn't stand it anymore.
Okay, Eka, did you tell a runaway story?
Well, I didn't always run away, but I gave myself timeouts. So I guess it was kind of running away. I'd be like, this isn't working for me right now, so I'm just going to go in my room and close my door. Yeah. And since I normally didn't do that, then everybody knew it was like, okay, she's had enough. And once again, pulled out my trusty Kindle. Me and the Kindle, we've gone through a lot of good and bad times together.
If your Kindle could talk.
If my fourth Kindle could talk, right? No, but yeah. So I think sometimes for me, and especially kind of sometimes during the holidays when like Kamira said, no expectations. But as much as we try not to, I think we end up having expectations, and then it gets a little bit disappointing. And then if you've worked really hard to try to make it really special, then you end up feeling. I mean, not you, but me. I feel like, wow, I did all this and nothing. So, sometimes I need to step away in the middle of all of this, and then your spreadsheet's fabulous because, sometimes you're just like, how come I'm the only one who sees that, like, the garbage is full or that the plates need to be, you know what I mean? So sometimes I hate being that screaming nag.
Yeah, that's my other, I would say my other hack is printing out a chore chart and hanging it up. And I've told you this before, but it only works if it's printed. It doesn't work if it's verbal, that's nagging. And it doesn't work if it's handwritten because it's my handwriting. But if I print it out and I hang it up, people literally go and check to see what their responsibility is during that meal. And it's like, and not everybody does it great. I have some slouches, but they still, they do the pretense of doing it, which I'm still satisfied with. Jessica, did your parents ever run away that you know of?
See, I just texted my mom just to check, and I see it's red, but I don't think she's responded yet. So I don't remember.
She's probably laughing, Jess.
Yeah, I mean, most likely she knows on Mondays. I don't think so. I've traveled by myself to visit my sister and friends on occasion. Does that count?
No, doesn't count. There's no rage in that story.
But Jessica, that's an interesting point. I wonder if my kids remember. Do you know?
Yeah,
because
that's
they
what
were
we're
really
gonna talk.
young.
Let's talk about that next week.
Okay, that's a great
That's
topic.
so funny. What do our kids remember about times we ran away?
Or times we lost
Short
it.
conversation.
What?
That'll be a short conversation.
Oh, I don't think in my house. I don't think so. I think they're going to remember running away more than I do. Like, well, how about that other time? And I'll be like, what other time?
Yeah, I thought you said in the Thanksgiving article that you didn't remember it until they reminded you.
I mean, it was not. It only took do you remember for me to remember? I wasn't obsessing about it once it was over. But when they said, "Do you remember?" it was like, "Oh yeah, do I remember?" I remember so much about it. I remember only one kid who he's the kid who says thank you after dinner. He said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, 1 out of 5 cared.
Well, I think I had 0 out of 3.
What?
I think I had 0 out of 3. So 1 out of 5 is not bad.
Well, I think actually 1 out of 6 because I don't think Dan asked either.
Well, 0 out of 4. So okay.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to tell you what our kids had to say about running away from home. And we could be flexible. It could be if they ran away also. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.